Joining me now from Lafayette, Louisiana, Attorney General for Louisiana, Jeff Landry. Jeff, Missouri is taking a pretty bold move here by going after the communist Chinese government. My question to you is, as Attorney General of the great state of Louisiana, do you conjoin a lawsuit like this, or is this rather symbolic and we need to get the communist Chinese government another way?
Well, first of all, I'd like to applaud General Schmidt for taking the lead and putting this out on the table. We are currently evaluating a number of options, looking at the legal impediments or hurdles that we would come in front of in this type of litigation. We have our staffs, of course, discussing the case with General Schmidt's staff as well. But yeah, I agree in principle to what he's doing. I think that, when you look at the facts, when you look at what China did, how they suppressed evidence, how they continue to suppress the current numbers of the infection of the virus in their own country, that certainly they need to be held accountable.
And it seems to me that if we learn anything from this entire Wuhan coronavirus episode, is that we need to bring the production of antibiotics back to U.S. soil. Wouldn't you say? Maybe that's number one. And number two, maybe it's about time to give our major corporations like Apple, maybe 24-month notice. Hey, you know what? You're part of our national security scheme, and we need you out of our enemy territory, don't you think?
Well, I do think that this pandemic has shown the American people some tremendous weak links in our country's security, right? Number one, you're exactly right. The fact that our supply chain is so basically dedicated towards or the only ability to get that supply into the United States in critical times comes from Asia is problematic. And we should be bringing manufacturing like antibiotics and, of course, PPE back to the United States. In addition, I think it goes to show you the importance of border security and who comes in and out of your country as well, and how we, of course, control those borders. So, look, I think there are some positive takebacks that we can show that say, hey, we can make America bigger, better, and greater after this.
Can we take a little sidebar here, Mr. Attorney General, and talk about liberty? Julie, the director of our program, can you go to slide number 3? I want to go to that. These are the numbers out of Louisiana of the Wuhan coronavirus cases. And it's a classic bell curve. You all had a little bit of a spike, and everybody went crazy and said you were going to be New York all over again, and it did not happen. I have a theory, Mr. Attorney General, as to why. And it's something we've talked about on this program ad nauseum now, and that's herd immunity. Now, I know you're not a scientist. I know you're not an epidemiologist. But it appears as though maybe, especially New Orleans, is a bit of a case study for herd immunity. But maybe more importantly, does it not bother you from your perch when you see people in Michigan, and you see governors like in Michigan and in California and in New Jersey, absolutely trampling upon the constitutional rights of innocent Americans for the sake of ostensibly trying to corral a virus? Doesn't it bother you when you see this?
Absolutely. What's amazing to me is the lack of common sense by many elected leaders. The fact that the Democrats went out there and basically boycotted the first benefits bill or stimulus bill, as you would say, is absolutely correct. I think that herd immunity, while I'm not a scientist, I'm not an epidemiologist, it's a scientific fact and medically proven that herd immunity happens when diseases like this affect large populations. I think there are a number of factors. I also believe that the mortality rate is certainly lower when you start to factor in the actual infection rate. Again, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have and take precautions, but certainly we don't have to shut down the U.S.'s entire economic engine simply because of that.
Imagine that. Some common sense emanating from the South. Who would have thunk? Mr. Attorney General, Jeff, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.